Good evening to you. Mark Sutt with HurricaneTrack.com here from Morgan City, Louisiana at the hotel. Going to make this as quick as possible. Evening update on what's going on with Hurricane Ida. It is strengthening, you know that. It is headed towards Louisiana with impacts that will be felt in Mississippi, southeast Louisiana, but spreading inland from there. The thing we have to watch for now is how strong does this get and who is going to receive the core of this, the worst of the effects, and then what's going to happen inland as this makes landfall. Remember, this doesn't stop at the coast, so I'm going to show you a few things that I'm looking at, a couple of tools that you can use, and then just a reminder of what we're doing out here in the field part, especially if you are brand new to what I'm doing. If you already know all about it, you can skip the end because you know what I'm going to talk about. So let's start off at the beginning here with the broad view. Very busy out there as we end the month of August. Here's Hurricane Ida, 90 knots, 105 miles per hour, pressure going down. It's getting ready to rapidly intensify. It still has to move over that warm eddy to its north and west, warmer water temperatures. That is still ahead of it. Have TD10 out here, not much consequence. This is no big deal, and we will watch this down the road. You know, we'll deal with all that later. In the eastern Pacific, we still have Nora practically onshore here in the eastern Pacific. Let's go back because the Hurricane Center site's being kind of slow. I do want to show you Nora, though, so we'll do that on my track chart. The interactive map here is going to work its way up the Gulf of California, and it's not often that you see Arizona in the cone of uncertainty. So you folks down there, Sierra Vista, yep, you know, some people out there, you know who you are. Watch this very closely. Maybe some moisture comes up into the desert southwest. Hurricane conditions possible for our friends here in northwest Mexico. But the big story, of course, for the United States is Ida in the Gulf. So here is a satellite animation courtesy of tropicaltidbits.com this evening, and this is the visible shot, and you can see it is definitely getting better organized. And so what we need to look for, to me, in all my years of experience, is how round does that eye become. This is the visible satellite. When you look at stuff on social media and people share satellite images now that it's getting dark over the western hemisphere, we will use infrared, which measures the temperatures of the cloud tops. The darker that the eye is indicative of warmer temperatures in the eye. And if it is surrounded by a cold CDO, or central dense overcast, this ball right here, and it really is this dark color, whatever the color palette is of the satellite that you happen to be looking at, if it is perfectly round, or the more round it is, and the more round that eye is, the more intense Ida becomes. It's very difficult to explain why, but right now it's trying to get there, and it's pushing up these deep thunderstorms. They're in clusters, and then they kind of fade away. We need to see, does this become this perfect machine, like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or whatever, where that engine is just perfect, and it's trying to get there. It's trying to reach that maximum potential intensity over the Gulf of Mexico, whatever the physical limitations are of the atmosphere and the ocean combined, it's trying to reach it. Right now, the eye is there, but it's not perfectly clear. You don't look at that and go, oh, look at that stadium effect eye, that's incredible, it's a thing of beauty. And it is when it's out over the open water, not bothering anybody. It is a thing of beauty, and hurricanes actually serve a purpose. If we didn't have hurricanes, we'd probably have something worse. So that's what we need to watch for. And then please continue to understand that this is the entire hurricane. All of these bands, these are all part of the hurricane. It's not just one spot on the map. So it might make landfall just west or somewhere over Grand Isle, but then east of there into Mississippi and southeast Louisiana and as far east as Alabama and the Panhandle, you're going to have impacts. And then those impacts, as this comes in and makes landfall and goes north, will extend north into the lower 48, Louisiana, Mississippi, and into Tennessee and the Mississippi Valley, the Tennessee River Valley. It's going to be rough. All right, so it extends far beyond the coast. Please remember that. Great radar animation here from Mark Nissenbaum at the Florida State University in Tallahassee. And I'll put the link to this in the description of this video that you can watch these long satellite animations there. Almost loaded it there, they all are, and we can make this go faster. Really, really neat to see as Ida comes into radar view. Again, I'll put the link to this in the description of this video so you can watch. But these are those bands coming in still several hours away from the extreme southeast part of Louisiana. And then you'll see that eye come into view, and we'll be able to see where does it end up. There's Grand Isle, and does it come in over Grand Isle, east of Grand Isle, which would put New Orleans at greater risk for the core. And we'll just see. Nobody knows for sure. We had a little bit of a shift east today in the guidance, 20, 30 miles, maybe somewhere in there. That is significant. Every mile is going to count now, because if it develops that very well-defined core that I was telling you about, where it's connected all the way around, and it looks like a donut on radar, and you'll see people tweeting all about it if it happens. If that moves over anywhere, but especially near Metro New Orleans, that's going to be a major problem. It'll cause tremendous wind damage to those buildings, and it'll push a surge in from the southeast into that area, and it could be potentially catastrophic. So hopefully that won't happen. Most of the guidance keeps it just to the west of New Orleans in terms of that core, but we'll see. For you folks on the north shore of Lake Pontchartrain, again, the way that wind funnels in is going to be so important. We do have a camera system there to monitor that in a couple of spots. I'll show you that in just a moment. Again, looking at the track map, this is our interactive map off the HurricaneTrack Insider site, part of our crowd-funded project through Patreon, and this is what you have access to. This is the map. This is where we have our assets spread out right now. We have 4 units up and running. A 5th one just went online. It hasn't popped up on the map just yet, but it will shortly. It is close to down here in Golden Meadow, somewhere down in this area. Brent just brought that online, and we'll be able to, well, it'll be there in just a little bit once it gets put in on the back end of things. Nevertheless, this is the track, supposed to reach Category 4, but, the effects from this could be catastrophic, similar to a Cat 5. That surge all throughout this area into Mississippi and Alabama, storm surge, big killer. It spreads inland. Water is very, you think about it, it's like spilling, you spill something on the table and it spreads out. This is going to do the same thing. The wind will just spread that throughout the marsh and the low-lying areas, all these little rivers, canals, whatever. It'll just filter its way up, and the water will just start rising, and then it'll start moving. And if you haven't dealt with one of these in this part of Louisiana in a long time, that's what's coming. Luckily, the one good thing is a lot of this looks like it'll happen in daylight hours. So for people that have not evacuated for whatever reason, that gives you a little bit of an edge, maybe. I certainly wouldn't want to face one of these at night. That's for darn sure. So at least this happening in the daytime, it appears. And you can see this is the position tomorrow at 18 UTC. That's 1 p.m. Central Time, right on the doorstep of making landfall. And then it moves very slowly over southeast Louisiana. This is Highway 90 through here. You go through Houma, Morgan City, and other areas, Raceland, and then down towards 1 there, I think it is, Highway 1 or whatever it is, towards Grand Isle. It's going to be rough. And then New Orleans over here just to the east. And it's all going to depend on the size of the eye and the core in terms of what they get, that onshore flow piling into the Mississippi Sound. It's going to be rough. And then all of that's going to extend inland here and spread power outages, trees down, lots of problems. I said it earlier today, the Interstate 10 corridor going across this region. Please be very, very careful if you are a trucker. Let the truckers know. Watch it. Be careful out there. All right, so we fund all of this through Patreon. In fact, let me show my connecting. Where is it? Move this out of the way. Connect and follow. This is what we do. We do it all through Patreon, patreon.com/HurricaneTrack. And that's where these interactive maps are available through the HurricaneTrack Insider site. We connect our Patreon up to that. So when you sign up on Patreon as a supporter, you get all the benefits of Patreon and the blogging and me being able to communicate with you through that. It's a really neat thing. And then we connect you and your email address through Patreon to HurricaneTrack Insider, which is accessed from HurricaneTrack.com right here. You put your username there, and boom, you go to the HurricaneTrack Insider site, click on Interactive Tracking Map. There it is. You click on the live cams. Those are here. And then you can look at the dashboard where they are all spread out right here. And we have, like I said, 5 of them right now. And then a truck cam. We're waiting to set that up later. There's the one that Brent just set up down here in the Golden Meadow area. I screwed that up. Hold on, let's start that over. There we go. Trying to take it full screen. Lots of stuff to load here at the hotel on the bandwidth Come on, interface. Thank you. That's the camera we just set up. Brent did down there. You see the Texaco and the Dollar General. We have a pressure sensor with that. These are the other cameras. There's Brent driving. We got Gulfport covered. This is the one over on Lake Pontchartrain, right on the causeway. That's going to be a heck of a shot. That's a NOAA weather station, I do believe, right next to it. So that'll be good to compare the data. This is Mandeville, over looking towards the east-northeast across the lake. And it doesn't look like much. You say, that's a lot of trees and stuff. But what if that speed limit sign goes underwater? You know, and this is a sidewalk through here. Big wide area. We'll be able to see the water spill in. Very important to spread these cameras out. That's what this project does. The crowdfunding really helps. This is Waveland, Mississippi, and we have this camera system set up facing back to the east. Look, got the whitecaps coming in. Very interesting already. This will all spill in, and the closer Ida gets, the more east it gets, the more this will impact coastal Mississippi. Again, how do you access this? It is all crowdfunded through Patreon, HurricaneTrack. You get the app. Look at it, patreon.com/HurricaneTrack, or search HurricaneTrack within Patreon. These are the cameras. This is what they look like. These are the anemometers we set up. And again, this is what we do with it. Pretty neat. We'll have all of this populated. Let's see if it's popped up on the map yet. I'm going to refresh this just to see for my own curiosity as we wait for the hotel bandwidth to hopefully make me not have to ad lib all night. It's going to, and I got to get this online. You get the idea. We're working hard. I'm going to shut up and put this online and get out. And we have like 10 or 11 more cameras to put up. 2 more weather stations. Actually, all 3 weather stations, because we were going to put one up near Grand Isle, but they're putting the floodgates closed, so we couldn't get down there. It's okay. Sometimes you just, you know, that's the way it is. Those floodgates are there to protect people, and they're closing them 16 minutes ago as I'm recording this. All right, I'm also on Twitter at HurricaneTrack. You're watching on YouTube. It's great to have you there. Thank you very much. Good luck out there. We'll be streaming live on the public feed throughout the rest of the event. I will get some sleep later tonight. I'll do another update in the morning. I'm Mark Sutta. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.